What would change in your life if over the next 12 weeks, you gave your best energy only to what truly mattered and let everything else just fall into background noise? This season, it isn't calling you to do more. In fact, it's asking you to be more dedicated and devoted, more intentional. Because devotion beats distraction, and tiny aligned choices compound faster than any sprint. Hey, friends, welcome to Align for Wealth, the podcast where peace, purpose, and prosperity all flow together. I'm your host, Nagle, wealth alignment coach, personal finance educator, and founder of Legendary Wealth Builders. I design wealth building strategies that fit real life. And each week on this podcast, I share strategies and soul level shifts to help you align your money with your life so you can build wealth without the burnout. And in today's episode, we're talking about a concept that I've been seeing trending a lot lately called the Great Lock-In. But I'm reclaiming this as the Aligned Lock-In edition. And it's all about reclaiming your energy, focus, and attention and choosing devotion over distraction so that you can take small and aligned actions and they can compound over time into peace, purpose, and prosperity. So I don't know if you have all heard this trend, this theme, this concept that's going around called the Great Lock-In. And it's really all about taking this season, the last 4 months of the year from September to December, and really locking in on your personal and professional goals. And here in this podcast, I'm all about creating wealth that isn't just encompassed around financial and professional goals, but around your whole personal life goals. The reason that I thought this was a great trend is because it really fits in line to what this podcast is about, focusing on building wealth that's really more holistic. When you think about fall signals a transition, right? Transition from the busyness of summer where everything is blooming and growing to more of a slowdown, shedding the old and slowing down so something new can create itself, right? But in real life, a lot of times, the fall can signal busyness for us as working professionals, as parents. We have children that are starting back school. We're getting in that grind of getting children ready for school, sports, all the things that come along with that. Fall can also signal the holidays that come in the fall, right? The holidays that come in the fall and the winter. When you think about Halloween, when you think about Thanksgiving, spending time with family, and then also Christmas. So it could really be a very busy time of the year for a lot of people. But in this great lock-in or aligned lock-in, we are really thinking about what are the priorities that we want to really hone in and lock in and be intentional and accountable for in this season, and not just go with the flow, but really lock in and design what we want to focus on in this last season, this last quarter, this last 12 weeks, and get devoted and drop all the distractions. Because many times we have goals, we have plans, but they can really be vague, right? A lot of us, from the start of a new year, we have our New Year's resolutions. But a lot of times by this time of the year, a lot of people drop off for New Year's resolutions. But you don't need to have a new year in order to have goals, in order to have resolutions, if you will. So for these next 12 weeks, really lock in on what those goals are, because a lot of people fail because their goals are too vague and they don't attach any emotional connection to their goals. They have goals to make more money. They have goals to pay down debt. They have goals to get in shape. And quite frankly, those aren't bad goals, but they are very vague. Everyone, for the most part, create goals that are similar in nature to those. If you want to get in shape and that's just the goal, there's no emotional connection to that, which is why a lot of times people fall short of the goal. if you have an emotional connection to the goal, or you're trying to get in shape because you have a vacation and you trying to have that hot mom body or that hot girl body for the vacation, now you have an emotional connection to it. If, God forbid, you have some kind of health scare when you go to the doctor and they tell you you need to lose weight or you need to be more intentional about what you're eating, now that's more emotional. So now you're more motivated for the goal. So a lot of times, unless we attach an emotion to the goal, we're usually not motivated enough to stay consistent. We can start it, but not finish, because there was no emotion that was really driving the goal. It just sounds nice to have. And I'm all about, in this season and in every season, but for the sake of this lock-in season, to create aligned goals. And what does that really mean, to have an aligned goal? The aligned goal is specific to what it is that you desire and you want to accomplish. You may want to create another source of income, but let's be really specific about that. How much money do you need? Why? What is your actual monthly goals? Why is this important to you that you need this additional source of income? Are you trying to pay kids tuition? Are you trying to have a more comfortable lifestyle? What is the reason that is driving this? You really need to have a strong why, because that why is going to create the staying power for you to stay focused. Because life is going to life, and there's always going to be things that's going to deter you from staying on the road to accomplishing your goals. So you have to have a strong reason, an emotionally attached, strong reason why you have this goal and why it's important to you to accomplish this goal. And also, you need to audit your energy. And I don't know how many of you actually do this, but you need to understand where your energy goes. You also need to understand those things that give you energy and steals your energy away. Because I think a lot of people don't know where their energy is going throughout the day, or don't know the parts of the day where their energy is flowing the best. So, what are those things that give you energy, right? Think about it. It could be general things that most of us do to give us energy, like sleep. Having enough sleep is a great thing to give us energy, right? Making sure that you're getting enough sleep each night. Also, sunlight, getting outside, getting that vitamin D, getting that natural sunlight gives us energy. Moving our body. It doesn't always have to be a workout like going to the gym. If you can do that, excellent, fantastic. But just move your body. It could be stretching. It could be yoga. It could be taking a quick walk around the neighborhood. Something to just get your blood flowing and your muscles moving. Also, eating well, right? We all know the importance of a balanced diet, but eating well, eating the right foods could really give you more energy, as opposed to certain foods, give you that food coma, right? It doesn't give you energy. It actually does the opposite. And so really just being able to identify what are those areas that give you energy and those things that drain you energy. Because there are certain people, places, environment, and times of the day that your energy is drained. So you may want to avoid doing those really important goals during those times of the day. So also creating a practice of reclaiming your energy. I know people probably talk a lot about having morning rituals or a morning practice where maybe you get up and you journal. Maybe you get up and you do some meditation or you do a devotion. A lot of times this can help you jumpstart your morning, which is always great, because some of us busy professionals might dread getting up in the morning, right? So if you have a morning practice that you look forward to that can help boost you, those are going to be things that's really great for boosting your energy. And also, I would say create minimums. Create a minimum on what you're going to do with your energy. Say I'm going to walk a minimum of 10 minutes a day, or I'm going to move my body for a minimum of 15 minutes a day. Remember, moving your body doesn't mean you have to go to the gym to move your body. You can take a walk, like I said, around your neighborhood. You could do some stretching. You can do some yoga, meditation. Just create some realistic minimums. Notice I didn't say maximums, because I know as high achievers, we could do too much. We could set the goal that I'm going to be in a gym 5 times a week. And for the sake of this exercise, I don't want you to set an ambitious goal that you have to raise the bar in order to achieve. I actually want you to set a realistic goal. I want you to set something that's actually attainable so that you can get these reps in and feel good about yourself that you're actually accomplishing it. So if it's a goal that you want to drink water as soon as you wake up in the morning, let's set that goal. If it's a goal you want to do a meditation practice as soon as you wake up in the morning, let's set that goal, right? Even if it's 5 minutes, let's set something that's realistic so you can get those wins in, so you could feel proud of yourself and get that consistency going and get a practice that's you can keep up with. And as we're doing this energy audit, we have to realize that everything can't get our attention. It just cannot. So we have to understand where our attention is going, because sometimes our attention is being stolen. Sometimes we're giving our attention away. So there are instances where our attention is getting stolen because things come up that we didn't expect. People call us and steal our attention when we had things that we were working on, projects pop up. There's a number of things that can come and steal our attention. And there are other times that we're giving our attention away, right? We're getting on our phones and we're distracted. Maybe social media, maybe a game, maybe a phone call that took an hour or 2 hours. So sometimes we're giving our attention away, right? So we need to understand where our attention is being leaked. We also need to identify what are going to be the needle moving tasks. So if you have certain things that you're working on that you need to do that's really important, you need to work on those things. And you should ideally work on those things when you have the most energy, right? So if you are doing an energy audit, you should be able to identify the times of day where you have the most energy. For me, for example, in the morning between maybe like 9 and 12, I have great energy during that time. So working on the task that requires a lot of brain power, I'm good to work on it during those hours. But then if you get me maybe about 1 to 3 o'clock, I might be getting on a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a slump. So if I have to use my brain a lot, it might be buffering a little bit during those hours. It's not to say that I can't work during those hours, because I do. However, it's to say that maybe the most important task, I want to do that in the morning. Then also, I know in the evenings, I get a jolt of energy. So I can also work on more tasks then. But you really have to be able to audit yourself to realize when you have those moments. Also, time block. Oh, my favorite. If you don't time block, I don't know why. You should start. So I time block, especially at those times where I need to work on my needle moving task. So if I have something that I need to focus on, a goal, I literally schedule it into my calendar and I block the time. I say from this time to this time, I'm going to be working on that goal, and I lock in no distractions. I eliminate distractions while I'm focusing on the goal or the task that I put in front of myself. So you definitely have to pick times that you're going to work on your goals, schedule it, and I literally put it on my calendar. And then I block time out and eliminate distractions. So that could be hard for a lot of you to eliminate the distractions. I put my phone on D&D, do not disturb, right? This is my focus time. I cannot accept phone calls. I cannot look at social medias, because sometimes we're actually inviting in distractions. So if you do not eliminate distractions, then you're inviting in distractions. You're leaving the door cracked. You're leaving the door a little bit ajar so that a distraction can come in. You can't. You got to close that door, lock that door, and say nothing can come in during this period of time. It's not that you're D&D 24/7, but you can do it for a specific amount of time so you can stay focused. And I also sometimes use this app called Pomodoro, and it gives you 45 minutes of focus time and then like 15 minutes of a break. So I usually focus longer than 45 minutes at a time. But for those of you who may struggle with focusing for long periods of time, I recommend doing that app. And in this season, we're really going to have to design an environment to support the dedication that we need to have in this season. So, for example, my office space, right? I have to create an office space that's really conducive for me to do work. Because if my office space is clustered, crazy, things all over the place, then my focus is not going to be focusing. I'm going to be looking all around. I'm going to be distracted. You have to create an environment that's really conducive to accomplishing your goals, whatever that goal is going to be. So if your goal is professional and it's just a project or some work you need to do, make sure that you have like a CEO space, a CEO desk that says, I could do work in this space and I can get focused in this space. If your goal is on the professional side, let's say it is with working out, make sure you plan that the night before. If you need to go to the gym, take out your clothes the night before. If you're trying to take a walk, take out your clothes the night before. If you're trying to eat more healthy, you might need to meal prep. You might need to go to the supermarket, buy those ingredients that you need to be eating and plan that out. You really have to be more intentional about setting your life up to support your goals. So I want us to think about the areas that we really want to lock in. So like I said, the great lock-in or the align lock-in is all about accomplishing professional and personal goals that you want to lock in these last 4 months of the year. So I would suggest that you choose 1 to 2 areas of life to lock in. So if you heard our last episodes, there are 6 areas that really affect everything in your life. There's the financial, there's the personal, there's the professional, spiritual, physical, and relational, right? All of those areas of our life chart affects everything that we do. So I would suggest that you choose 1 to 2 of these areas to really lock in for this period. I would say choose 1 to 2 because if you're choosing too many, it's going to be really hard to lock in. You're going to be juggling too many things at a time. And it's not to say that you're not focusing on any of these other areas, right? Because you're probably going to touch all of these areas at some point, obviously, within the next 12 weeks. But I want you to get really focused and intentional on at least 1 to 2. Set realistic goals, realistic, attainable goals in these areas, and map out what are going to be those small, consistent steps that you could do daily or weekly in these areas that's going to compound over time and move you forward. Because even if it's small, that's okay. I know a lot of us, we think we have to take big steps, right? We got to take daddy long leg steps in order to accomplish a goal, but you don't have to. Baby steps still move you forward. If you take enough baby steps consistently, you're going to be making traction. So map out what are those steps that you need to take. And when you're taking those steps, you need to review them, right? You need to review weekly what worked and what didn't work and adjust accordingly. Because sometimes you may have had a goal for the week, for each day, and you realize, I said that I was going to journal every day. I said that I was going to walk 10 minutes every day. I said that I was going to sleep 8 hours a night. And that didn't happen, right? And that's fine. You just need to understand what happened. Was the goal too ambitious? Did you not set up your life to support what that goal was going to be, you want to realize what worked, what didn't work, and adjust, because maybe something did work. You might say, oh, okay, I thought I wanted to journal in the morning, but actually journaling in the evening would be more supportive of me. Oh, I thought I wanted to work out first thing in the morning, but actually taking a walk on my lunch is going to be a lot more easy for me to maintain. So the thing is to find out what you need to tweak, not quit. Find out where you need to adjust. And then celebrate your wins. Celebrate when you got it right. Celebrate when it did go well. Sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes distractions are going to come up that you can anticipate. But it doesn't mean quit. It just means adjust. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say you are going to have to create boundaries. You need to be able to protect your goals, protect your energy, protect your focus. You're going to have to practice saying no. Yes. You're going to have to practice saying no to some things in this lock-in season. Because people, especially if you are good at what you do, you're very skilled, you have a lot of talent, you're in demand, many people are going to call you and want you to do things. Things are going to come up, right? For you, for your family, for your friends, whatever it is. Things are going to come up. People are going to request things of you. People are going to ask things of you. And you need to know in advance, before they even ask, what's going to be your response. You need to practice it. You need to have it all ready for when the questions come about, can you help me with this? Can you work on this? You have to let people know, I'm in a lock-in season right now. I cannot take on any new commitments, but thank you for thinking of me. Oh, currently in this season, I'm at capacity. I'm not able to take on any projects at this moment, but I'll get back to you if anything changes. You're going to have the boundaries in order to lock in. Point blank, period. So, all right, friends, it's time for your align move of the week, where I'm going to give you a simple, powerful action you can take to bring your money, your mindset, and your life into deeper alignment. Because listening is good, listening is great, but alignment only happens when you move. So here's your align move for the week. So since we're in the Great Lock-In or Align Lock-In edition, I want you to choose 1 or 2 areas to lock in for the next 12 weeks. This is going to be your Align Locked-In edition. So you can choose from anything. It could be relational, personal, professional, financial, spiritual, physical, whatever it may be. Choose 1 to 2 areas and set your energy minimums. So if, for example, you're choosing financial as one of your align lock-in areas, what is the minimum amount of energy that you are going to allocate towards that goal? Is it going to be an hour a week to look at your finances at the end of the week? Is it going to be 5 minutes a day to look at your banking app? Is it going to be, you're going to set aside some time to automate some things in your finances? If it's professional and maybe you're trying to increase your money or find a new job, are you going to dedicate a certain amount of time, 30 minutes a day, to look for another source of employment or an additional source of income? It could be anything, right? It could be physical, your health. Are you going to set aside 10 minutes a day to move your body? Set your minimum, right? The minimum is the floor. The minimum is the least that you are going to require out of yourself. The minimum is not the most, right? We're not doing the most. We're doing the least. What is the minimum that you could accept out of yourself daily or weekly for this goal? And determine your boundaries. Like I said, you have to know, how are you going to enforce boundaries when things come up? Because baby, let's face it, things are going to come up. If you think that things are not going to come up, to get in the way of the goal, of your intention, of your focus, then you're not being realistic. Things are going to challenge the very thing that you are setting out to do in this season. When you get challenged, that does not mean stop. When things come up, that does not mean stop. A challenge is not a stop sign. It may be a yield sign. It may say, let's slow down. Let me revisit what I need to put in place right now. It may be a yield sign, but it is not a stop sign. So just because a challenge come up, remember that does not mean to stop. So the great lock-in isn't about hustling harder. It's about aligning better, devoting your best energy to what really matters most to you. So locking in isn't harsh hustle. It's honest alignment. So when your attention and your energy serve a few high priorities, peace returns back to you. Money clarifies and confidence compounds. So thank you for tuning in to Align for Wealth podcast. I hope this episode gave you clarity, confidence, and courage to lock in this season. So make sure to subscribe, share this podcast with a friend, and leave a review. For more tools, resources, and ways to connect with me, head on to the show notes or visit legendarywealthbuilders.com. Remember, true wealth isn't just about how much you make and what you have. It's also about who you become. So until next time, stay aligned and stay wealthy.